Willkommen beim Broadleaf Junkie. Lehnt euch zurück, genießt eine gute Zigarre und habt Spaß. Wie viele Geschichten in der Welt der Zigarren beginnt auch seine auf Kuba. Jetzt führt er ein ziemlich großes Familienunternehmen mit über 4000 Mitarbeitern und Hauptsitz in Miami. Der amerikanische Traum, Tradition, fast gereifte Tabake. Nick Perdomo spricht über seine Marke.
Hi, I'm Nick Perdomo from Perdomo Cigars. Glad to be here talking to you.
Thank you very much. Let's talk a little bit about yourself. What brought you into the tobacco business, or what brought you into tobacco?
What brought me into tobacco was I'm the fourth generation doing this, to be honest with you. So my father ran a factory in Cuba in the 40s and 50s when Cuba really cared about their quality, and that was a factory called H. Upman. His father, my grandfather, Silvio, was his direct competitor, and my grandfather was the general manager of a factory called the Partagas factory in Cuba in the 40s and 50s. My grandfather's brother was actually the minister of tobacco in Cuba for 46 years. So I had a long lineage of people to talk me into getting into the cigar industry. So after serving time in the military, I told my dad I wanted to get in the cigar industry, and I started in 1992. This will be our 33rd year in the industry, and started very meagerly out of a garage, and today we have over 7,200 workers, and we're one of the largest manufacturers in the world today.
Have you ever thought about not doing this? Not joining the family business?
No, I actually started the business in America. It was something that I wanted to do. My father thought I was crazy because I was an air traffic controller, which is a really good paying job in America. But I always reminded my dad, you said, look, you live in a great country. If you work hard, you can attain anything you want. And my father was right, and that's what we did. Yeah.
All right. What is tobacco to you?
Tobacco to me is very special because it feeds my family, feeds our workforce, and I happen to personally love it. So I'm very passionate about it, and I'm very passionate about cigars. I've been smoking cigars for decades, and it's something that not only relaxes me, but brings me a lot of joy today because it brings a lot of joy to my consumer base all around the world. So it's extremely special.
All right, yeah. And when it comes to working with tobacco, when it comes to blending, is it for you all about the blend, the taste, or is there always some backstory or history you incorporate into that?
To be quite simple with you, it's mostly about the taste and what I forecast the consumer's going to like. Because periodically during time, people liked very mild cigars, and now we're starting to see a big evolution in America and even here in Europe, where people are looking for richer and richer cigars. And when I first started, because I've been in Nicaragua so much, Nicaragua produces very lush, rich tobaccos, and I always knew people, when they started, will start with chicken and eventually eat steak, start with white wines, eventually drink big red wines, start with light American beers and go with big, heavy German beers. People are always looking for more and more flavor. So when I first started, people always said, your cigars are too powerful, but I would say they're super smooth and people are looking for more and more flavor. So I knew that the flavor characteristic would win and would make Nicaragua so special. Because when I first started in the industry, countries like Mexico, the Canary Islands and Spain, even the Bahamas chains were importing more cigars around the world than Nicaragua was. And I remember telling a famous magazine in the mid-90s that Nicaragua would bypass Honduras. And it did. And today, Nicaraguan imports are bigger than Honduras and the Dominican Republic combined. It's 80% of the market share in America. And we're starting to see retailers all around the world gravitating to Nicaraguan cigars. And I remember years ago being at this fair 21 years ago, and 90% of the humidors were Cuban. Today, there's a lot of humidors where the minority of the cigars today are Cuban. And I think the consumer all around the world is looking for flavor, consistency, quality, great construction, and that's what we bring. And I think the German consumer especially is starting to see the evolution of how beautiful Nicaraguan tobacco tastes and what makes it so special, the flavor characteristics and so on.
But you have, I think, some special treatment to your tobacco so that you kind of can incorporate a signature taste
And that's
to your cigars?
that's a great question. Yeah, what we do, and this is something my father taught me. We started in 1999 on this. Is we barrel age all our wrappers, and the reason we barrel age them is not to infuse bourbon or whiskey. What we use is that process does three things. It caramelizes the tobaccos. It brings the sugars. It's the actual alcohol residue of the barrels. The barrels are charred inside. It's a charcoal, so it's a filtering agent. It takes all the rough edges around the tobacco. It smooths it out, and the tobacco gets another fermentation period. And with that fermentation period, the colors caramelize and they get darker. All the sugars, resins, and starches go up, and you really get the solid flavor, the tobacco core flavor that it was distinguished to have. It's a process that nobody really does because it's very expensive to do, but to me, it's really worth it. My father always said it takes 10 years to get a customer, and it takes 3 seconds to lose one. I've always been cognizant about it, and I think that's what separates Perdomo from everybody else. The extra touches we do during curing and fermentation, it makes a big difference in the taste of the cigar.
I also have a feeling that I can feel it on the wrappers.
You can feel the oils, you can feel the resins, and that's what flavor is, and that's what the consumer likes. And what we want is, we want the consumer to have a flavorful cigar, a great experience, and a relaxing experience at the end. And I want to satisfy them with their taste, whether they drink a coffee, an espresso, a beer, or a single malt scotch or red wine, something that pairs extremely well with the cigars. And we've been very consistent with that. In the last 33 years, we've been able to build our business because of our quality.
So pairing also is a huge part in this for you?
It is a big pairing. And what we want to do is we don't want to overpower the cigar from the particular drink. We call it the ping pong effect or a volley effect. We want you, regardless of the drink that you have, that you be able to enjoy the nuances of that drink and still be able to pair with the cigar, where the cigar is neutral and not being overpowering or underpowering with the drink. And it gives you a much better experience, especially when you're relaxed.
Yeah. Would you also call this barrel aging some kind of a family recipe? Or
yeah, I would say it's kind of a family recipe because it's a process that not many people do. And I learned this from my father, and it's really worked for us. And like I said earlier, it really gives us a distinct flavor in the cigar. And we're not imbuing bourbon into the cigar. What we're doing is we're using the free radicals of the alcohol under pressure to get that tobacco fermenting again. And it's basically a double fermentation.
all right. I wonder if I already asked you what backstory means to you when creating a cigar. I think I've asked that already.
You did, but it's a great question. And the backstory really, in generality, is you have to look at the evolution of what people are looking for, right? So I don't necessarily blend a cigar exactly to what I want, but maybe to what you want. So the consumer's looking for smooth, well-aged tobaccos that are flavorful, that doesn't knock them out, but they can really enjoy and savor. And that's really the backstory of what we do.
You, with every line you put on the market, you go with a Connecticut, a natural, and a Maduro wrapper varietal. Is the blend staying the same, or is it tweaked to every different
The interior
wrapper?
blend, and that's another great question. The interior blend stays the same, but what the Connecticut does is if someone's looking for a creamy finish, they'll get that. If they're looking for more of an earthy finish with a little cinnamon or spice, they get that with the sun-grown. If they're looking for something with a sweeter finish and they like that particular blend, they get it with the Maduro. I've always believed that Connecticut and our sun-grown or Maduros are like the three best cuts of meat. It's your filet mignon, it's your bone-in ribeye, and your porterhouse, and that's why we believe it. So if you like a particular blend, regardless of what it is, you're going to be able to enjoy it and stay in the umbrella of that particular blend that you like. You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so those wrapper. So if you like a particular blend of a cigar, you can go to a different wrapper and enjoy that particular blend. If you only have one wrapper and you like it, you might try a competitor's brand or try something different, and you might not like the blend as much. So I always like to lock people into something that they like and be able to taste different nuances because of the wrapper. And the wrapper can impart up to 10% of the flavor, which is really astronomical when you consider it's one leaf. of a cigar. It's only literally 1% of the cigar producing 10 times the amount of flavor for the taste of the wrapper.
So when it comes down to blending, you would basically blend what's inside to
Yeah.
a signature taste and then go to, okay, that are the 3 different things I want to do with this.
Yeah, the wrapper is the last thing I do when I come up with the blend. So the first thing I want to do is, do I want a mild, medium, or full-bodied cigar? Do I want more sweetness? Okay, I'm going to use more tobacco from the Jalapa Valley, which is more mineral-laden. It's going to produce, what makes Nicaragua really special is, if you look at most countries, all the tobacco regions are in one area. Nicaragua is incredible because we have the Jalapa Valley, 200 miles to the north of us, totally different topography, totally different tasting tobacco. In the middle, we have a valley called the Condega Valley, a lot of cloud cover, very rich grounds, produces a lot of binder and wrapper tobacco with a lot of richness. And then you got the heart, which is Esteli, where we're at, which is another 60 miles to the south. Really heavy volcanic grounds, super rich type tobaccos. And we can coincide and make numerous blends with these different regions we have. And depending on the flavor characteristic is how much we're going to add. It's almost like, when you blend, it's almost like cooking with ingredients. How much salt you're going to put in, how much pepper you're going to put in, how much basil, garlic, oregano, and so on when you're making a sauce. So we have a tasting panel. Our tasting panel has over 375 years of smoking experience. And what we do is when we taste, we actually blindfold ourselves. And the reason we do that is we don't want to have a perception on what the cigar is going to taste like by looking at the wrapper. Because we always assume in Connecticut's going to be milder, Sun-Grown's going to be a little heavier, Maduro's going to be even heavier. That's not necessarily true. It's what you put on the inside of that cigar that's going to tell you what that cigar is going to taste like. But we use our eyes as perception, right? So when we do these blending process, basically I have a table. It's about 6 feet long, and there's light, medium, and strong tobaccos from this particular valley, and so on and so on. And sometimes some of the valleys have different lot numbers that have more flavor characteristics. For example, if I grow tobacco by you, we have riverbeds running aside of us. Those grounds are going to be loamy underneath because of water erosion. Those tobaccos won't be as heavy. And I could be 5 feet in front of you, and the tobaccos taste totally different. So what we do is we segment everything by lot numbers on there, so we have the consistent flavor. That why does 10th Anniversary Connecticut been out for 25 years, still tastes the same? Because we just don't say it's from a province. We actually do it from the actual lot number that we picked that tobacco from, so we can really zero in on that dosage or blend for consistency.
Since you used the allegory, would you describe blending more like cooking or like baking?
I think it's very similar to cooking. And I'm not much of a cook, but I'm a good blender.
Okay.
But listen, I learn every day. I've been doing this for 33 years, and I'm learning every day. And that's why we have a panel, because everybody has a subjective flavor and taste of what they like. So very rarely do we come to a consensus, but we all have to really love the characteristics and flavor of the tobacco. And I think that's really been our strategy and what's helped us have consistent cigars. Most of my cigars have been out for decades, and they're still selling time and time again. So I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of our team.
Since they're basically, or your brand or family name is out for decades, why are you still coming here?
Because I want to see our consumers, I want to see our retailers, I want to see our distributors, I want to explain. I love doing this stuff. I have a passion for this. I love this. I want everybody to know about it. I have a YouTube channel. I'm always teaching, whether it's how to cut and light a cigar. I want people to really enjoy the product. Look, at my stage of my career, my son's coming into the business now. He runs our sales division. I just want people to really enjoy our products. So it's a blessing for me to be here in Germany and be able to talk to our German retailers and all our retailers all through the EU. And listen, you build relationships with these people too, because you do so much business with them. So we're thankful.
So you would say this industry or the cigar culture is basically about people, about communicating, about connections.
And it's about family, and it's about friendship, because remember, we smoke cigars for celebratory reasons. We do it to relax, to enjoy a drink, to enjoy fine company. It's not a cigarette, and I hate that they kind of group us together. You have poisonous mushrooms and you have edible mushrooms. We're in the edible mushroom business.
Yeah.
We're there to,
and we're not there the psychedelic mushroom.
Right, exactly. We're there to enjoy, you know. So it's a pleasure for me. I never miss a trade show in America or in Europe for that matter. So I'm happy to be here in Dortmund.
I will include a link where you can tell your EU government that cigars are not like cigarettes. All your cigars are 100% Nicaraguan puros, am I right?
Except for the wrapper on the Connecticut, where that wrapper is grown for us by the Perez family, who we've been doing business with for 33 years. And they grow special lots of tobacco for us in the Milagros area in Ecuador. And we love that wrapper. It actually has a natural shade. It's cloud cover. So it's very cloudy. And what happens is the sun heats the earth, the tobacco grows, but it's very devoid of veins. So it's very oily. It has a lot of resin and sugar. So you get to taste the creaminess of that Connecticut seed grown in Ecuador. And then what we do is we take it, we ferment it and age it, and then we use it on the cigars. But everything else is tobacco grown by our family.
You told me that your family originated from Cuba.
Yes.
Have you ever been there?
No interest in going there right now. For obvious reasons. My grandfather was a political prisoner. He was tortured. My father had to go through tremendous trials and tribulations, including imprisonment, and luckily he got exiled and got to do what he wanted to do, which was follow God and follow freedom. So no interest in going there.
Off the records. Okay,
Off the record.
Kind of off the record. Yeah, we got a little bit sidetracked, but I really enjoyed this
Hey, man, I enjoyed it too. Thanks
you
so
very
much,
much.
man. I really appreciate it. Thank you very
It
much.
was great.
Über den unten aufgeführten Link könnt ihr noch bis Ende des laufenden Monats vor der EU kommentieren und argumentieren, warum man Zigarren und Zigarillos von der kommenden erhöhten oder drastisch erhöhten Tabaksteuer ausnehmen könnte, sollte, müsste. Was er gesagt hat. Denkt dran, sind nur noch ein paar Tage. Wenn ihr mehr von dem Shit wollt, folgt mir einfach, liked, teilt, kommentiert, wenn ihr wollt und genießt eine gute Zigarre.